So you guys all signed up to take to learn more about Google Docs, and we're going to go through and show you a couple of the things that you can do, how you can set it up and create it, share it, edit it, and those type of things.
So, Lainey, would you, I just want to ask them real quickly if you would add questions in the comment section, and we will address those as soon as we can.
So everybody, how to get to the comments up at the top, there's a little comment bubble. If you click that, it'll open a side panel. And if you would, go ahead and put your microphone on mute, just in case there's any background noise and things like that. It helps to prevent it from jumping in. And then we can open up the microphone a little later and ask verbal questions if you prefer to do that as well. So there we go. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you so that you can see what I'm doing from the beginning. Okay. And then in addition to that, over in the comments, I think most of you have access to the link to the agenda document that we have, probably on a link in the email where you originally found this link. But I'm going to go ahead and paste over in the comments and go ahead and paste a link to our agenda that we're looking at. And if you want to go ahead and copy that now and maybe paste it over in another tab. If not, it's okay, because like I said, you have access to that link on the email that had this original session for it. Okay. I will show how to, I can show you how to share the screen and stuff too. Okay. I shared this with you guys at the bottom. If you'll notice, there's a white bar that pops up when we're in Meet, and you have several things. This is where you can mute yourself. You can turn your camera on and off. You can click on closed captions, and that will actually start typing at the bottom of your screen everything that's being said. And then in order to present my screen, what I did was I had to come down here to this button that says you are presenting. It's going to look different because I'm already presenting, but if I weren't, when you click that, you have two options that will pop up. It's either your entire screen or a window, and I chose my entire screen. From there, it popped up a white box here that showed me my options, my screens that I have available. And I chose, you have to actually click on the screen that you want to present and tell it to start presenting, okay? Ms. Nix, if you clicked on a different tab, just click back over to the tab that has the red dot at the top, and that will always be the screen where you see me talking and see what I'm showing, okay? So the tab at the top that has the red dot is the active Hangout screen. You can click off and be in additional windows or tabs, and this is still going. But if you want to see us, you just have to come back to this tab, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to start a Google Doc, or how to get to a Google Doc. And the first thing we need to do is understand that the Google Docs live in the world of Google, which all kind of stems from your drive. So the first place we're going to go, I'm going to open a new tab at the top with a plus. You have a couple of options when you do that. You can come over here. There's a little, I call it the app waffle. Some people call it the 9 square. You can click on that. And if you notice, you're going to get several things that do not look right to me right now. We're going to scratch that for a second because that did something strange. In the URL bar, typically, if you just type in drive.google.com, that will get you to Google Drive. That's what I usually do. Or, come on now. Or if you notice, I actually have a shortcut on my toolbar. If you get yourself to the drive, I suggest right here next to it, there's a little star. If you will click that star and bookmark this, you can then have a bookmark right here on your toolbar that you can just click and always get you back to Drive very quickly. And this is kind of, this is your landing pad, for lack of a better term, for where we create and house all of the different Google Suite documents. So over here, you'll see a lot of different things in my drive, but there's drives that are shared with you. This share drive, anytime someone creates something and shares it with you, it might show up here. I'm sorry, in this shared drive is where things shared with you will show up. The one above it, shared drives, this is if you belong to kind of a unique drive that has other people on it. And y'all can be working together in a shared drive. My drive, these are the items that either belong to you or items that you have copied and put in your drive and added to your drive. Okay. So this is the house that it all lives in. We're going to talk about docs today. So this new button in the top left, if you can see my cursor, when we click on new, this is where we have the ability to create, and there's more down there. There's a whole plethora of things that you have the option to create. We're going to start with docs because it's kind of the backbone and the most common thing that you would be working with, or working with students. If you are familiar with Word in the Microsoft suite, this is very similar. It a lot of the things look the same. It's you're not going to have that big of a learning curve from what you see in Word to what you would see in Google Docs. Notice that a lot of the toolbars look the same. A lot of these icons up here look the same, and they all do the same things. I'm going to give our document a title up here, okay? And up at the top, I'm going to call this Earning Docs. Oh, I spelled it right. From here, you can simply, type your document, and you get to format it. I can tell it I want it in the middle. I can highlight things, and again, all of these things up at the top work pretty much exactly like they do in Word. So once I've created this document and I've continued and typed whatever it is I needed to type, if I want to close this out, okay, it's gone. I'm like, there it went. I don't see it anymore. How do I get back to that document and edit it again? Okay, I'm going to close it all out so you see. So I created it, okay, and then now I want to go back to that. It's not going to be on my desktop. It's not going to be on the wall or in my files on my machine. It lives in the cloud. It lives in that drive that we talked about. So we're going to go back to our drive. And if you had clicked that little bookmark when you typed in drive.google.com up here, if you had clicked the star, you would now have the little icon here, and I can just click it. I'm back, y'all. That was my bad. Let me share my screen again. That was my fault. When I told it to open, let me move this down again. When I told it to open that, I didn't tell it to go to a new tab. And so it took over the tab that I was on and kicked me off. So I just had to rejoin. Can everybody still see me again and see the screen? Okay. Again, it happens. We fix it. So I'm going to go to a second tab. And from here, I'm going to open up my Google Drive by clicking my icon. And I could have organized that if I had put it in a folder in my drive, but I can search for that document by title now, and I got to give it a second. It's a little bit slow. So I could click here and just search. This is the agenda we had done. I could also look in my recent. Sorry, it's being. Oh. So if I notice in my recent right here, these are the recent files I've worked with, it'll be right there at the top. So there's that learning docs that I had done. Okay. And you can build folders within your Google Drive. And if I had a certain folder that I wanted that in, I could move this document to that folder to make it a little easier to get back to. So I could have taken this, it's got to finish loading for me to show you. So just like I made a new doc a while ago, I could create a folder and I could name that whatever I wanted. And if I'm building anything, if I go to that folder when I build it, it'll automatically live there. But if I've built it and it's not there, I can still go back and move this to that folder. It doesn't quite have all of my icons popped up yet. There it goes. So there's a little folder up here. If I wanted to organize it and put it inside a folder, I could go organize that and put it in there by clicking this little icon that has a folder and then clicking in whichever folder in my drive I wanted it to live in. Okay. So that was, we created it. We went to Drive, we said create, made a doc, and now we went to Drive and we found it again because we weren't finished. We needed to maybe edit and type on it. Okay. So as I go through here and type, again, it's going to do a lot of the same things that you're used to doing when you're in Word documents. So one of the great things though, and one of the reasons we use Google Suite and Google products in our district is because it's shareable. And so you can share this document and work on it collaboratively with other people. I could share this with my students, and in a Google Classroom, anything that you have in your drive, you can do a couple of things. I could share it with all of my students and we could all be on the same thing working on it together. Or I could share it in such a way in Google Classroom that this was maybe the story prompt. And this might be something, and I give my students a prompt. And then when I share it with my students, I force it to make a copy for all of my students. So it becomes like a worksheet you printed in class and handed them. It's just digital. They all have their own copy and they have what you gave them to start with, but then they're going to continue writing and it makes a copy and makes their document that they could then share back with you. Okay. So in order to share this, we have to change the share permissions. And the way that we do that is in the top where it says share. It's always going to default to being just private to you, unless you make it in a folder that someone else, you've given access to that entire folder to them. When you originally create things in Drive, you're the only one who can see it unless you change that. So when you go to share up here, I can start just typing in people's names here. And let me share, I'm going to share it with, I can't see everybody in the chat right now still. But I'm going to share it with Tammy. If I put Tammy's name in, I just have to start typing just like she would be in our system. I'm going to tag her. This pencil right here gives you some options. When I click the down arrow, if I tell it edit, Tammy can get on this document and start typing with me. If I say comment, she can look at it and she can leave a comment over on the side to maybe give me some input, but she can't change what I typed. And if I tell it only view, then she can only see what I've done. I'm not giving her permission to change anything or edit anything or leave any comments. It's just something I want her to be able to see. Okay? And I can add multiple people here just by, continuing to type in their names. Okay. And when I say send, they're going to get a message. It's going to get a notification right here. I can tell it notify them. And they're going to get a notification that somebody has shared a document with them. It'll also show up in their drive and they can get to it that way. There are some more advanced sharing options down here. If you choose advanced, it gives you some greater control over what people you're sharing with can do. But what it also does is right here where it's private, when you say change, this is how you can basically make it open so that you don't, if I wanted 40 people to be able to work on this or see it and change it, I don't want to have to type in 40 people's names. So I can come over here and I can say, anyone who I send this link to can now edit it. Okay. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put you guys, I'm going to copy this URL because the URL will reflect whatever I've done here. And I'm going to go ahead and copy that. And I don't even have to do that down here when I was adding Tammy, because I changed it to anybody who had that link. If you get the link, and I'll go ahead, I'll put it in the chat, and you guys can come over and get on that document and see what I'm talking about. You now have the ability, because I'm giving you this link. If you click on this link, it will all be in this document, and you will see that as you type, things can be added to it. So if you notice, I noticed that up here, I can see you all joining. Okay, so you guys are all able to get on this document with me now. Yeah, it's a really good, I mean, it really did change the way we're able to do things in the classroom and work, you know, collaboratively together. It's something that if you do have multiple people in a document, you want to talk about, you know, what is the digital etiquette of if you're writing on something. You know, notice that I see that Allison's cursor's right here. I don't want to click there and start typing right there because I'm going to interrupt her. I wouldn't go sit on someone else in the classroom and start writing on their paper. You know, we want to give each other kind of space to work around. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Tammy's saying, like, click further down the page and you could be typing. So what's cool, and we can play here for a minute, but like if I notice, like I like right here what this person said, I can highlight that and leave a comment over to the side. I agree. And I can also, if I say plus, and let's say I wanted Tammy to do something with this, when I said plus and said Tammy Rushing, please take out the trash. Okay, I can, if I say assign this, maybe this was something I needed her to actually do. Let me say, like, Tammy, show people how to insert a picture. And then when I say assign, Tammy gets an email that shows up that says you've been assigned a task, and she'll know it's her trigger. Let me go open that document, and she can see this here and go, oh, you know what? Okay. And then she can resolve that when she's finished. But up here on here, since I mentioned that, you can do, you know, their file still gives you quite a bit of control, making a copy of things. If you needed to, you can download this as other versions of things. And sometimes that there's a need for that, depending on if I need to, like, for instance, my daughters go to college, and one of them has to turn in, like, they want it in a Word format. So she can create it in Google Docs, because remember, the reason we use Google Docs is it's completely free. And when our students leave the district, anybody with an email account can set up a Google account and have access to all of these things for free, and they store them for you. Microsoft Word is not that way. So, but you can download it as a Word file and then attach it or send it, or a PDF. You can see the version history, like let's say something happened and somebody went in and deleted something. You can go in and see who had made those changes. And this is getting to be kind of advanced, you know, but I can go through and see when I click on this right here, I can see that when it was created, I could see who made those changes, and it'll kind of color code them. So I can see that Gregory typed this, that's in purple, and Allison typed the orange, and the blue down here was Tammy. So it's just helpful to have that, or know that you can get that back if you need to. And I can just click the arrow to go back to what I've done. Okay. So, well, I just went back to Google.
Hey, Selena, could you show more about how to see who left comments?
Oh, sure. Let me go back into the actual doc. I will tell you also, if you are working from a phone or a tablet or you know, an iPad, anything like that, anything that's app-based, it will require you, or it's going to work a lot better if you will download the app for Drive and the app for the different Google products. So you would download Drive, and then you would also want to download the Docs app, because it's going to make your life a lot easier. It's going to work a lot better that way. So again, with the comments, over here on the side, let's say, again, it's still loading. This is the comment that I gave a while ago. This is a way that when my daughters share a document with me and they want me to proofread it for them and, edit their papers for school, I don't go in and change the typing. I use it as a teacher over on the side, and I tell them, like if maybe I tell them it's like if I highlight up here, and I can either say insert comment, okay, or this little button on the top next to the blue share, that's also the comment feature. So either one of those, either insert a comment, or I'm going to highlight where I'm making a comment or what I'm making a comment about, and I'm going to click the comment. And then from here, I can tell it comment, and I can talk right here, and I can say plus, and I can even tag someone who's not necessarily on here, like if this is my daughter, and it's going to tell me, it's going to tag that to her, but then it's going to tell me I have to give her permission. Make sure you are answering the prompt, and then I could assign that to her. She's going to be like, she's asleep right now anyway. She's not up so. And then I can assign it to her. So over on the side, it's going to show you whoever made that comment. So if someone wants to try it, you can click anywhere, or you can highlight a word, and then you can insert a comment over there to let us know that, it's a side conversation, basically, is what's happening. Again, all of these things up here are pretty, I think, for the most part, kind of explanatory. This is the sizing. You can change the style, like headings. You can change the fonts, your size, the bolding, underlining, all of that. This over here is also, you have a feature where I can insert images, and it looks like, I'm not sure if Cami did, but somebody was able to insert an image over here for us. And then when you click on your images, you have some control over what they look like within there. Okay. Let me, oh, I got to click off of my image. That was when I clicked it. Notice my toolbar changed. This is the toolbar that pops up. That is for editing this image. Okay. So I could crop it, this little crop button. I can tell it, oh, I only wanted this much of that image in there. And so when I click off, I now go back to my regular toolbar, and then I was able to adjust that a little bit. So some of these over here are some formatting things. This little button here is a hyperlink button. If I copied a link, and like this could be for any site. So maybe this is, I'm just going to do CNN.com. And again, we're kind of doing some of the more advanced features of what you can do. But if I know that that's a website, I can copy that link. And if I wanted to tell kids, use CNN.com for research. If I highlight over this word or whatever I want to make it a link and click the little paperclip, I just have to paste that URL or the link to whatever I want them to go to. And so now, instead of them seeing a big ugly address, they can simply click that and it'll take them off to whatever website I've linked that to. So these were, that's the basics of what this is. At the bottom of the agenda that we shared with you, there were some other things, like some tips and tricks that are, if you feel like, oh, I knew all of this that you told me, that was the basics of it, but I was trying to do some things that were maybe a little more fancy. There were some other things at the bottom there, but are there other things, this was the basics of doing docs. Were there other things that you guys either wanted to see or weren't sure about that I can show you?
Selena, would you show how to make a copy of a document so that it adds it to your own drive?
Yes. So let me go back in my Google Drive. I created this one. I own it, so it's not gonna look quite the same. But let me go show you in my drive. I'm gonna go with things that other people had shared with me. So in the shared with me, anything that earlier when I was showing you, whenever I created some things, I could have And you're going to see weird things here, because if you're in a Google Classroom, and let's say if you either have a Google Classroom or a teacher has added you as a teacher in a Google Classroom, as kids create things and turn it into there, you may see things show up here that you're like, I don't even know what that is. I don't know where it came from. It's okay. This is not, I will tell you that in the shared with me, this is not where you want to try to start organizing or worrying. It's just kind of this, think of it as the junk closet or the junk room at your house that you sometimes need things out of, but we don't worry about organizing that. We go get what we need only when we need it, and then we shut that door real fast and run. So if you look, let's say that I was looking at this essay, okay? I did not create this essay. This is something that was shared with me because I'm in a Google Classroom, okay? And this may or may not work the same way, because I'm going to come here and say, let me open this document. And I'm going to hope this works correctly, because things in Google Classroom sometimes are weird. But let's say I like what this was, but it's somebody else's, and I don't want to mess up their stuff. I'm not going to write on their stuff. I'm not going to change their stuff, but I really like what they did, and I want to have a copy for myself. So just like at work, I would go to take that teacher's paper, and I'd go to the copy machine and make a copy that I could then write on and change and do what I want with. We're going to do that digitally by, here's this. I'm like, oh, I love this format that you've used, and I want to type on it and make it my own. If you'll open that and don't type on theirs, right? I'm not going to mess up their stuff. But what I can do is I can tell it file, make a copy. And when I do that, you'll notice that it's even going to start off by saying copy of whatever they named it. And then I can put it in whatever folder is in my drive that I want. I can just kind of, it'll start wherever it was. And I'm going to go back just and dump it in my drive. I'm not going to really put it in a folder. I could create a folder right here too if I wanted. I'm like, oh, this is anything that I'm copying from Miss Knight. Okay. So I'm just going to drop it in my drive there. And then I could either share it with the same people who originally had the first one. I can copy any comments that they had over on the side, if there were some, and they would come with this new copy of the document. And when I say okay, notice that it's a separate tab, because I created a whole new one that I now can type on without disturbing the sanctity of this original document that I don't want to mess up. So I'm going to close that one so that I don't accidentally type on theirs. And now in my Google Drive, I have this clean copy that I could rename, essay template, whatever it might be, because that person will not see, they won't even know that I made a copy unless I shared it with them. Okay. So then I could type here, do what I needed to do.
Selena, this is Greg Zarbo.
Yeah.
Is this the way that if I'm sending a document to multiple students, let's say I'm sending a document to all my classes, and I've sent a document, say, with questions, is that how I get them to go in and answer the questions without retyping everything?
That it is one way, but that's not the most efficient way.
Okay.
Mr. Zarbo, do you have them in Google Classroom?
Yes.
Okay, let me go ahead and show you, because some of you, even if you're not the primary teacher in that Google Classroom, you may be in there. And so what I'll show you is I'm going to go up at the top to, and again, I can either type in classroom.google.com, or I've made a shortcut here on my toolbar. So I'm going to go into Google Classroom. And Google Classroom allows you to either give them a template like you were saying, or I could create my documents right from Google Classroom. So I'm going to come down to one that I use as a testing. I use this to test out things, to see what it works, to demo, kind of things like that. My son I have some of my personal children are in here as students, and then a couple of other facilitators or tech coaches are in there. But they get random like notifications that they have work, So in your Google Classroom, and remember, classwork is where we create work to send to kids.
Right.
And so up at the top, we have our topics and things. If I say create, let's say this is, I want them to turn it back into me. Okay.
Okay.
If you're giving kids, and this is just kind of a side tip, especially right now, with organization and things like that, if you expect them to give you something back, it needs to be either an assignment, a quiz assignment, or a question. That way they know that this has something I have to do and turn back in for credit or a grade or a check. Material just gives them things that's kind of an FYI. Okay, it's like, here's the syllabus for the class. Here's a resource you may need, but it doesn't expect them to give anything back to you. So if they know they have assignments they haven't done, excuse me, they know that they're supposed to do something to give it back to you. So I'm going to tell it, we want an assignment. And this is going to be an essay template. Could be a worksheet about whatever, could be just an assignment you need them to get. You would give them your instructions here, whatever it might be. Complete this and turn back in and turn it back in. Obviously, you'd give them better, more comprehensive instructions than that. And then you won't see that little icon, that orange one. That's something you don't see. Down here at the bottom, if I want to create a template from here, I can. I could say create a doc, and I could make that template from here, but we've already got it. So I'm going to say add, and I can go straight to my drive. I could give them a link, a file. I'm going to look in my Google Drive, and I'm going to go say, I would love for you to have this template for the expository essay that had our prompt at the top and questions, whatever it might be. But this part, the next part is where it gets very important. And you have to do it before you assign. All of this has to be done before you assign it, because once you assign it, you can't edit it the same way. So check all of these things before you push assign. That way it's all there. So from here, I'm like, I want the kids right now, they can just see it because it defaults to them just viewing whatever material you give them. But the down arrow right next to it, I can say that they either all can edit. That's going to be a little bit crazy, because what that means is every single one of my students can get on that same document and type, just like we did a while ago when we were all on that document. But the bottom one, make a copy for each student. This is like you handing out a worksheet in class that everybody gets their own copy that they all write on. And it will generate a copy of this that will have a dash and the student's name, so that every kid has that the same template to work from, but they all are working on it individually.
Okay.
And over here, if you don't know this while we're here, I don't have to go do this for every one of my classes. Where it says 4, I can click this down arrow and say, I want all of these classes to get it. Okay. I'm not going to do that. These are not my classes, but I could send it to all of my classes at one time. I could also, for those of you that need to differentiate or are working with, you might do pullouts with only certain kids. I could go and say, you know what, this is only for Bo and Madison. Those are the only kids that I want working on this particular assignment. Okay. So you can kind of customize that. You can give it a due date. I would always recommend doing topics, because that's how they're going to be, that's how they're going to get it organized. So I'm going to say this is a writing assignment, or for right now, it may be, this is your, week 28, or this may be Tuesday, week 28 assignment kind of thing, so that it'll organize it for them. There's some other fancy things. You can add a rubric and everything now. Up here at the top where it has the down arrow, you can save that as a draft, and if you're not ready to post it yet, or you could even schedule when this goes out. So if you're building all of your lessons for the week and you're doing it on Sunday, but you don't want to overwhelm them, or you really don't want them to see this until Wednesday, you can schedule that to post, and they won't see it until you've told it to pop up in their Google Classroom. Okay, so this would be how they get work that they all work on individually.
Thank you.
Yeah. So hopefully that was helpful. Are there other things that y'all have questions about that you want me to go back over, or things that you're trying to do that you're not quite sure how to do that?
I do, but I've got things that are off topic. I mean, seriously, I've had kids, when they turn stuff in on Google Classroom, and I'm going in and I'm trying to grade it again on Google Classroom. I'm not worried about Skyward right now.
Right.
A lot of those are coming in depending on what type of document, where they've submitted it, but I can't see it. And so what I've been doing is I've been saving a comment. As soon as I find out how to, whatever, grade this, I will get back to you. And I've been saving that in the comment bank.
What kind of document, what kind of computer are you working on?
I've got a PC laptop.
Okay. They're sending you things in Google Classroom.
Yes.
Is it not like Google Docs? It's they've done something else that you're attaching?
It's something else. So that's what I'm saying. It may be completely off topic. When they're sending stuff back in Google Docs, or they're doing a quizzes or a Quizlet, I'm able to open those.
Okay.
But
it may just be something then that, your particular computer, if a kid's using a program that your computer doesn't have, it doesn't quite know how to read it. And there's probably a way to do that. What you may do, which campus are you on, Greg?
West. ISD West.
At West?
Yes,
I know that, and you can jump on, like on our office hours for our department, we can get on with you and look specifically, like at your case, have you share your screen so we can it's hard to tell without looking at it, but either on our office hours or Emily, if you reach out to her, she can also kind of get with you, because we can have you share your screen and look at it to try to figure out how are they sending it and how can you see it and read it.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. And thank you for being flexible.
Can I jump in real quick and just make a suggestion on avoiding those kinds of conflicts? If you are assigning students work to turn in through Google Classroom,
yes, ma'am.
It's a good idea if you either give them the document to work on, which would be like the Google Doc that Selena just showed you how to do. You create that document with a prompt. It doesn't have to have anything on it, but you can create it and assign one, for each student, and then they can do whatever they're going to do on it. And you can do that with whether it's a Google Doc or a Google Slides. If they're all going to create a slideshow, or if they're all going to create something in a spreadsheet, or if they're all going to create something totally different, if you can, give them the document, even if it's blank. You create it first and attach it to an assignment, and that way, when you make the settings that every student gets a copy, then when they turn it in, it'll automatically come back to you in a format that you can open.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I think it does. What we've been doing is we've been sending them videos on like News ELA as an example, and then we're asking them to go in and write questions, like a multiple choice question test. So we're asking them to write 3 questions and indicate which is the correct answer. And every time we've done that particular type of assignment, when I go to it, it tells me I don't remember the exact wording, but it doesn't show up.
Yeah, that would be a good example of you give them a blank Google Doc.
Okay.
Just create a new Google Doc and attach it to that assignment.
Okay.
Give them the instructions and have them create their questions and answers on that document.
Okay.
And make a copy for each student. That way, how you're going to receive it.
I have a feeling what may be happening is if some of them are working on their phones, they may be doing something in like their notes app and things like that. So Tammy's solution will help with that tremendously.
Right.
But, also, if you can't see it, you may ask them, can you send me a picture or a screenshot? Because you'd be able to see an image file before you can see kind of a random text file kind of thing.
Right. That's what I've done with the Quizlet and Kahoot and that sort of thing. I've asked them to send me a screenshot, and most of them have done that. However, I've actually had kids that were really trying, and they wrote their questions in the comment box.
Hey, yeah.
Okay.
And then I can't see it. I mean, I can see it, but I can't edit or anything when it's in there. So, but I
think we're all learning, and they'll get there. And like you said, if you're giving it to them, even if they're doing it on their phone, if you're giving it to them in the format through Google Classroom like that, their phone, it'll prompt them to, to use the app, and then it'll help with some of that compatibility.
Okay.
So,
Thank you both.
You're welcome. Do you have any other questions? Feel free to unmute yourself and ask.
Is there anything that anyone would like to see done again?
Well, hopefully that gets you familiar with docs, you know, play around with it, try it out, share it with somebody else, have them kind of get on just to see what it does. There's a lot, I mean, there's a lot that docs and the Google Suite can do that when we're working with our kids, it really opens a lot up to them when it becomes a collaborative workspace and a space that's, you know, able to share back and forth, especially right now. That's really important. With how do we give them feedback and how do we give them those comments and how do we interact with them? And this really makes that possible in a really efficient way. So
I do have one request, and it's not about going over things again necessarily, but do you have, call it a cheat sheet that would list the kinds of things that you just went over that you could email to us?
It's actually the agenda that it kind of shows exactly what we did, but I will also tell you that Google is amazing in their support and their help. If you go to the Google, before I tell you, like it's the actual address, like literally if I type in Google Doc help and go to the Google Help Center, it's Google support. So if you go to Google support, I promise you can look at, and the agenda is in the email that they sent where you were looking at those sessions. It should have been the link over on the left, Miss Nix. But from support.google.com, and I can type that over here. Actually, I'll put it on the agenda as well. You can look up any and everything, and it will give you step by step how to do that.
Okay.
And they're really great about, and what's great about that too, Google changes so fast. They keep their stuff updated and they keep their stuff current. So as they make changes, they will update that on those instructions for what you're looking at.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so I linked it to the, well, I'm going to link it to the agenda here. That way you can go there and look, anything. And what's kind of good about it is it's, you know, we're all at different comfort and need levels. So as you're doing it, that should work now. Okay. So yeah, support.google.com, and it'll walk you through. It's like, okay, I'm trying to do this specific thing. And you can go there and it'll walk you through and give you those kind of step-by-step things. They have it for every product that they put out there. They have the, you know, those support tutorials for it. Okay.
Helena, can you answer the question where they can find the recorded videos of these sessions?
Yes, they're going to be, and it may take a little while for them to show up because it takes a little while for them to process, but they're going to be putting them in our YouTube channel for the instructional technology department. So if you go to YouTube and search for, let me go grab that link as well. Instructional technology. And there's actually a lot of other tutorials and a lot of other sessions and stuff that they've recorded and we're putting there in case there's other ones you missed that you weren't able to get to. Yeah, if you go to YouTube and search for, if I can get, it's being kind of slow. I apologize, but I think that's partly because anybody who wasn't online all day before this is now. Come on. So here we go. It's actually, if you look for MISD iTech, that is the, that is our, well, let me see. Yeah. I'm trying to grab the link for you so you can have it. for the YouTube channel. Let's see if this one works. All right, hopefully that'll bring you, the link that I just put in the chat comments should bring you to our Instructional Tech YouTube. And there's already, there's several different either tips and tricks and little videos, and they will be putting more of these as we record these sessions. They'll post them there.
Selena, I just reopened the document that we're on, you know, the link. So where do I actually, once I'm back out of this, in other words, once I go in and I click out, where do I go to find these links that you're talking about?
If you want the links that are from the comments, those just like copy them now and hold them. But the agenda that we had, that is like when you got an email probably from your principal that had all the sessions for this week. It was kind of color coded a little bit, and it showed, here's the session title, here's the link.
Right.
So those session titles were actually links to the agenda for those sessions.
Okay, because I've been working off the document that was sent to us like on the 20th, and it doesn't have those types of things. So do I need to go in and re-find it?
Maybe. Debbie Tanton on Fridays, at least this happened last Friday.
Yeah.
She sent kind of, here's the sessions that everybody will be offering next week. And then she sent it to principals, and the principals then sent it out to the staff.
Okay.
To say, here's the, yeah, check with Karen and see if she has, you know, if that email, where she provided that to you guys.
Yeah, she sent one originally back on the 20th, and I've been working off of that, and I didn't realize another one may have come out.
Yeah, because, well, if you got here, this would have been on the one that they sent for this week.
Okay, and I haven't seen the one from this week, is what I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah, we'll find it, and if not, I can forward you. You know what? I'll do it anyway.
Okay, thank you.
Is it just G? Is it just, this is make it easier? Is it G Zarbo?
Yes, G Zarbo at Mesquite ISD.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll email you the session board kind of that Debbie Tanton sent out.
All right.
So you see what I'm talking about.
All
and
right,
there should be another one she should send the principals another one tomorrow evening that looks ahead to what's going to be offered next week on those sessions.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Are there any other questions anybody had that you need some additional assistance with? Well, we're glad.
I was not able to get the link to watch this again.
I haven't sent that yet. It will make it once I finish and stop the recording of this. It will take it a little while. It'll process, and then that should end up. I will make sure to provide a copy of it, so they will put it on the YouTube channel for the MISD instructional.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Guys, I put a link to the YouTube channel, the one that Selena shared earlier.
Okay.
I put that in the agenda for this session, getting started with Google Docs.
Yeah, I'm going and copying all these now off the chat, but thank you.
Yeah, I'll leave it open for a little bit longer.
All right.
And you'll be fine. Okay. I'm gonna stop presenting. I don't know that there's anything left right there. But as I stop presenting, it'll bring me back to my normal screen. Thank you all for joining us and, you know, adding to your repertoire of professional skills.
Thank you.
There's others. You're welcome. There's others that, and next week we will offer another basic one on Google Docs. There will also be one on Google Slides, Google Forms. So those are all really, you know, some really great ways to interact with the students in distance learning and through Google Classroom. So, you know, be looking for those. Those are great ways that you can kind of start adding to those skills that you have with the G Suite. You're welcome. Y'all are free to go as, you know, as you need to, I'll stay here for a little bit longer, and I'll go ahead and stop the recording at this point. But we'll stay on for another couple of minutes if you have other questions.